Hi everybody, and welcome back to the InTouch Machine Edition training video series. This is the Active Objects 3, the third installment of the Active Objects within InTouch Machine Edition. Today we're going to cover the remaining three active objects. And what objects are those? Those are the combo box, which is a drop-down list, the list box, and the smart message. We're going to cover data sources in the combo box, which are several, the list box, the smart message, and the three different types of smart messages that are contained within that object. So let's go ahead and get started. The combo box is a drop-down list. You've probably seen them on websites or in Windows forms, and basically you click on it and it drops down a list, and whether it be objects or states, or when you fill in a field, things of that nature, picks from a list of a drop-down. So that's what that is. Now, notice here that now what I'm going to do is, before we get into this, I'm going to bring up the help system here. So I've got InTouch Machine Edition, and what I'm going to do is go ahead here on the Active Objects 2 screen. Now this is an application that we started a few videos ago. This was started in the Screen Groups video, and it allowed us to make a group of screens that contain the header, the main, the navigation. If you haven't created that, go back and do that now. That'll kind of catch you up to where we're at. And the other thing that I have done is I have off screen, I have connected up to an HMI that I've got a remote desktop view into, so that you can see a live connection to that. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But what I wanted to do is I've got enough real estate over here on the side of the screen. If you don't have enough screen space, go ahead and move some objects around. Allow yourself some space to do that. And what I'm going to do here is in the Graphics tab, the Active Objects, there is the Combo Box object. Now, my screen resolution for recording these videos is reduced, so the text next to this combo box is gone. But you can see here it's in this Active Objects groups, the combo box. Now I could draw a rectangle here, but it's really just going to snap me back to a single line item, so I want to show you that here. So if I let go of that, it'll give myself a drop down that's only a single line tall. If I open up the object properties, you can see here it's a combo box, and I've got a few different fields. I've got the label and position field and data sources. And what I want to do while we're here is just click on the context sensitive help, and then click on this object properties, and the tech references opened up off screen. I want to scroll this down a little bit and show you these two fields here, this label and this position. The label is a string tag that's going to receive the value of the label currently displayed in the combo box. So that'll show you the message that's on that particular line. The position is an integer tag which corresponds to the label or the index, and not only will it receive the value, but changing this tag can actually change the label being displayed. Now I'm going to move this off screen and show you the, let's close this, move InTouch Machine Edition off screen, and go back to here. This is why I have this bidirectional arrow, because you can use this position tag to drive the line item of this, or when you select, and this is probably more common, when you select the drop down what item you want, it will write into the position tag. And we're going to set this up, so and then this label tag will receive the text. So let's go ahead and get started here. Let me close the help for now. Bring InTouch Machine Edition. Oh, did I miss that? I missed that. Bring InTouch Machine Edition back into view here. Okay, so now I have this combo box here, and I'm going to need a couple of different tags, the position and the label tag. Now the label tag has to be a string type tag. That's what the help system said. So we'll create, just to keep it straight what tag is what, because this is the combo box, I'm going to call this tag combo label, and that will be a string type tag, because that's going to get the actual message that's shown there. And then the position tag we'll call combo position, or POS, combo position, and that will be an integer type tag. So we'll just click on OK here, because everything else is default. So that sets up the tags that are necessary for that. Now let's go and take a look at the data sources. Now the data sources This changes depending on which of the 4 different data sources you choose. So for example, I'm going to choose static labels here first, and then when we go into settings, it will show us this list. If I change this, let's say for example, to text file, then I click on settings, this interface changes here a little bit. So let's go back to the static labels, because this is probably the easiest one. The static labels are kind of self-contained. So if we go here into settings and type in a list of the items that we want to show in that drop down. Now I've taken the liberty to choose some things beforehand. Now you can choose whatever you want to for this, but I'm going to type in bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S, make sure I have that spelled right, apples, peaches, grapefruit, and last, oranges. And now I'm particularly doing this not in alphabetical order because I want to show you that in a little bit, but the order does matter here, and I'll show you that as well. Okay, so I have that in the static labels. I have the combo position and the combo label, and that's all I'm going to do for now. Now let's, up here at the top, let's put a couple of pieces of text to show those. So I'm going to have the position, and because I'm just going to do less than 10, I'll just have a single digit in there, and I can apply that text data link to that. So again, that's just a piece of text that says position :space £, with the text data link applied to that. And then here, because I don't want to type it, I'm just going to go browse and choose that combo position. Notice again, just kind of a confirmation that that's an integer type because of that icon there. And then the next thing that I want over here is another piece of text that will show me the label. And because that'll have some more characters in that, and I'm not, I could take the time to put the right number of £signs in there based on the list, but I'm just going to put a few extra in there to make sure that I've got space. And again, that will have a text data link on it, and I'll double click on the object here and double click on this field, and that will be the combo label. Notice again that that's a text type or a string type tag. Okay, so this should be all that we need to do to run this. So let's make sure that we're connected here. I'm connected. I'm going to stop that project, and then I'm going to go ahead and save this screen, and it's going to prompt me if I want to download that, but I'm going to download the whole project just to make sure that I've got all the tags and everything else in there that I've created, and then I'm going to go ahead and run. Now here off screen, it's launching. I'm going to go in the active objects 2. And here you can see that at position 0, it's bananas, and then I can choose apples, I can choose peaches, grapefruit, and oranges. So I can get either the position out of that or the label out of that. Now, I didn't happen to make this an input enabled, so I can't click on that. So let me go do that right now. Let me go here and make this input enabled. At this point, you could limit your values here for your minimum and maximum to force the operator to stay into a particular range, or maybe you only have 3 labels, so you would have 0, 1, and 2 as 0 and maximum. 0 is the minimum, 2 is the maximum if you had 3 line items, but give you an idea of how you could limit that. But because I made that an input, now I can save that screen. That will get automatically downloaded because I'm connected. And so now I can drive, let's say, to line item 2, and when I hit enter, it will go to peaches. I can go line item 1, which is apples, so on and so forth. So you can see how that works. So I can get that list. Now, this list automatically has this scroll bar on it because I typed more items than it's displaying. And where did that come from? If I open this up and I go here under advanced, you'll see that the drop item list right now is 4. I happen to have 5 line items in that list. Let's say I put this down to 2. You can click on that, save this screen, which will automatically prompt me to download. And now when I bring this into view here, you can see that it has 2, and now I have the ability to scroll up and down. Alternatively, instead of making it shorter, I might want to make it have all the line items in view. Personally, one of my pet peeves is when they list states on a form and they only list 2 or 3 line items and you got to scroll. Why not just show all 50 states all at once? So let's save that. And now when we bring this into view, we've got all 5 line items there. So that's a way to do that. Let's see. So that's the static. And let's see if there's anything else that we need to take a look at here. Yeah, so while we're still in static, let's show you what the require confirmation is. So if I click require confirmation and I save, now let's see, did I download that? Let's see if I did. Okay, so now when I choose a new line item, so right now it's on apples. When I go to oranges, it requires confirmation. It says, are you sure? Yes, and notice that it hasn't changed yet until I click yes, then it changes. So that's what require confirmation is. So I'm going to uncheck that, and then input enabled. Now what that allows you to do, let's go ahead and save that and allow that to download. Now what input enable allows you to do is when I click on the line, I can start typing. Let's say I want apples, so I can type A and that will auto filter, and then when I hit enter, that will go in this case to apples. If I want bananas, we'll do that. Again, notice that this list is in the order that I typed these in: bananas, apples, peaches. It's not in alphabetical order. I can put it in alphabetical order. I can have it automatically sort. I'm going to turn off this input enabled here. I'm going to go back here under, nope, sorry, it's right here, sort, and that will automatically sort that list. Now, it's very important to understand what really happens here. So when I go here, now the list is in alphabetical order: apples, bananas, grapefruit, oranges, peaches. But notice that when I select apples, it's position 1, bananas is position 0. It kept its the indexes for the particular line item. So even though the visual aspect of this is sorted, it did not change their index numbers. So that's very important to understand, that if you have to add more later on, don't assume that by changing the visual order, the sort order, don't assume that that changes the index or the position number, because it doesn't. All right, so let's move on to the next thing here. Let's see if we need to, I can change the color and the things of that nature. So let's move on here to the a different data source. So let's now come here, and I'll go to graphics and insert a new combo box. And now what I want to do is I want to change this data source. Instead of being static, I'm going to make it an array tag. And the array tag will make, we'll call this combo message, MSG, and I'm going to start that at element or index number 0. And we'll say OK. So that message doesn't exist, or that array type tag doesn't exist yet. And because I'm going to be putting text in there, I'm going to make this a string. And because this is going to be an array, let's say maybe I want 4 different items in there. So 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that would make up a total of 4 different line items here. So I can say OK. And I'll leave that item field blank. I'll show you that in a moment. And now I can click on OK here. And now what I can do is close this and go down here to my database SPY. Let me make sure that's all the way on screen here. And in the combo message index, now let me show you this, because this is something nice when you're using not only database SPY, but when you're in objects as well. I can use this object finder to build my index and my classes. I don't recall if I showed this during the tag video or not, but I'll show you again here. Here's the combo message, and because this is an array tag, I can choose an index right here, and I can say, okay, I want index 0, and notice that put the square brackets around there for me. And so this could be, what do we have in the first one? Bananas. And then I can do the same thing down here where I can, again, you have to double click, or you have to double click right on that field when it's not selected. So I'm going to select off of this field, then double click on it, then choose index number 1, and here we'll put in apples. Now, alternatively, instead of using the object finder, I can just hit Control C and Control V and then go change that index number. Either one it's your choice. And then here we'll put in grapes maybe. And the last one we'll put in, let's see, what do we want to put in there? We'll put in oranges. All right, so now we have bananas, apples, grapes, and oranges. Now this is not necessarily going to be saved when I save the project, because I just typed these in Database Spy. If you wanted to do that, you could set up a startup script or maybe a recipe to be able to save those values. So those are going to go away, so just be aware of that. So here I have the label. Will be that, just use that same combo label. And here I'll use that same combo position, so it displays up there. And my data sources is the array tag, and I'm going to start at combo message 0 here. So let's go ahead and say OK to that. And now when I run this, let's go ahead and save this. Now, did I add any new tags? I did. I added that combo message tag. So let's go ahead and go ahead here and stop the project, re-download it so that I know that I get the new tag database in there, and then I can rerun my project. And let's pull this into view here, go back over to the left, go to my Active Objects 2 screen, and now here, why don't I have those values in there? Very interesting. Let's go try to troubleshoot that. I'm going to pause my recording and then try to figure out why and come back and tell you. All right, I'm back. Apologize for that. I didn't want to fumble around trying to troubleshoot in front of you. We'll have troubleshooting techniques a little bit later on, but I did two different things. Number one, the biggest thing is I did the database spy. I put these messages in here, which puts them in this case, my laptop. If I was to do local runtime and debug, they would have showed up there, but I'm on a remote HMI, so I needed to connect up remotely. The other thing that I needed to do is here under data sources, I did in fact need a number of lines. In this case, I have 4 different messages, so I needed to do that. So once I did that, I can save that, and then what I'll do is here in the database spy, I'll connect up to that remote HMI and put these same tags in there. So that's really what I did. So let's do, actually what I can do is I can double click on this and rebuild that expression in the same way that I did over here. I'll do combo message index 0, say OK, and here we'll put in bananas, and then I'll copy this. Oops, copy this, paste here, and then put in apples. And paste, change the index, and then put in grapes. And the last one will be index number 3, and then we'll put in oranges. And this is what makes this flexible, is because I can change these tags. Now what I'm going to do is move my database spy off the screen. And now here you can see this drop down. Now I'm not quite sure if I saved this. Let me just make sure that I saved this screen. Looks like I did. Let's see if it works here. Pull things back into view. Where'd we go here? Okay. And so there's my list here. So bananas, apples, grapes, and oranges. As I click on that, you can see position equals 1, apples, grapes. And this list is grapes. So let's now then use this database spy to go ahead and change message number 2. We'll make message number 2, instead of grapes, we're going to get, let's say, grapefruit. Okay, and you can see here that now that dynamically changes right there in that list. So, so that's some of the benefits of having the array tag is because you can change those messages that appear in that drop down. So that's really nice there. So now let's move on to the text. And this is one of the reasons why I put Notepad up here in this header. If you don't have Notepad up here, that was one of the button symbols. You can also, on your local HMI, you can just start Notepad. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in some the different fruit. And maybe in this case, I would want to put in alphabetical order. Apples, strawberries, and let's say, no, let's go bananas, oranges, and that's good enough for now. So now we'll save this. We'll save this as, and we're going to save this in our project folder, which, if you remember, was under the C drive, InTouch Machine Edition, or ITME, under projects, and then I have my training project. So here I'm going to save this. We'll save this as combo text.txt. And notice here that I can save this in an ANSI or an ASCII format. I can also save this in Unicode format. InTouch Machine Edition will work in Unicode format as well. I'm just going to save that as ANSI. So I just have those three choices there. And now what I'll do, let me move this off screen here. And now I'll put a new combo box here. And I'll put that same combo label in here. Put the same combo position in here so we can reuse those pieces of text on the top. And then here under data sources, we'll change this to text file. And now we'll go to settings, and this interface looks a little different. I don't have multiple columns, so I don't need any of these delimiters, or they're not going to take effect because I don't have multiple columns. Now here I'm going to choose to browse, and then you can see here is, let's see, InTouch Machine Edition. Where's my text file? Did I not save that? Let's see, what did I do here? So let's go back in. And let's see, this is looking for this on my laptop. So this is something else that you have to be aware of, is file names on your local machine versus the runtime. In this case, I saved that as combo text. I'm not going to be able to navigate to that, and it's going to look by default in my project folder. So I saved that as combo text.txt, and then the first column, I believe it'll take it as is, but the first column or the field is the number of columns. So since I have just column 0, I think I can leave that blank, or if I don't get it to work, I'll come back in here and put a 0 in there. And then reload, it brings in that text file when you first load in the project, so it kind of caches that. And if you make changes to that text file while the project is running, you would have to toggle a tag in this reload field to get that to reload. So let's go ahead and give this a try and see if this works. I should be able to save this, and I don't think I added any new tags, so let's see if this works. I should just have 3 line items in there: apples, bananas, and oranges. So there's my 3 different fields there coming from my text file. And if I change my text file, so I can go back here and open up Notepad, say File, it's kind of off screen, so let's get that on screen here. File, Open, and where's my project? Oh, notice that this is, let's see here, Projects, ITME Training, Combo. Oh, there's my combo text. Say Open. So here I can add, let's say I want to add, let's say grapefruit in here, and save that. And now it has not, let's see, where did I, oh, that's on my, sorry, that's on my remote machine, so I'm trying to do this inside of a remote desktop connection here. Notice that I made that change, but it didn't take effect here. Now I could either stop and restart this project, which I can do from here, or I can call up this from here and then restart it. Oops, restart it from here. and that will show up here, and then I get that other line item here. Alternatively, as I mentioned, I can put a tag in that reload field and then toggle that tag, and it will go ahead and show up. If you have multiple columns within that text file, you can put your delimiter in here and then put the column number or the field number, which is essentially the column number in there. So that's the 3 of the 4 different data sources that I wanted to show you with the combo box. We'll come back and do database connection after we cover databases later. All right, so now we're going to move on to the list box. Let's see, there was one more thing that I wanted to show you short. If you happen to come here and let's say here I've got 5 different lines, so I can draw up to line item 4 is oranges, but if I go to one that's undefined, let's say 5, notice that it goes to blank. I would have to go back into a valid position. So that is just expected behavior. That's the way that works. And another thing that sometimes some people do is rather than having a blank line or one of the choices, let's say it defaults to 0, instead of having one of the choices be up here by default, maybe you make position 0. Please select a fruit, let's say, so that they have to select it, and maybe it doesn't allow them to have a choice of 0, and it says please select a fruit, and then they drop it down, and they have to pick one of the choices there. So that's some ways to use that. So now let's go ahead and move on to the list box object. All right, so here what we'll do is the list box object we'll just put below this, and here in the graphics. This is the list box object here. And you can see what this does. It says multiple messages. One of the message lines is highlighted. And what we're going to do is we'll call up the help for this object. And we'll click on the context sensitive help, then click on the properties. And basically, it's the user can displays a list of messages or menu items for the user to select from. When the user selects a message, its corresponding numerical value is written to the tag, and the user can browse the list and make the selection depending on how they want to use it. They can use the mouse or the touch screen, or they can move up and down the scroll list using keyboard or keypad. And basically what you end up with is 2 different tags here. You end up with the read search tag and the write tag. Now the read search tag is an integer or Boolean tag, and it points to the selected message. And the write tag, which is, notice it's optional, it can be a string tag to receive the message. Now let me show you that graphically here back in the PowerPoint if I switch this over to list box. So again, what you have is the choice of having the user choose the item with the mouse, the touch, the keyboard. So the user can choose that from the list box, or control, so tag control that. So the read search tag via that read search tag or via the value of the message can drive that and then show that line item there. Or the user can choose that line item, and so it's either controlled or by user. Now we also have, so I'll go ahead and show that first. So let's go ahead and just make this a little bit shorter here, and then my choices are Boolean, integer, or least significant bit, and I'm going to leave this as integer for now. And in the read search tag, I'm going to put this as a list read, and that will be an integer type tag. And then the write tag will be list write. And because I don't remember what type that is, I think that needs to be a string type tag, but let's go check back in the help. So let's double check. If so, we can go back into the global tab over here and change it. So let's just make sure. So down here it does say that the write tag is a string type tag to receive the message. So let me close that. And I'm going to do something similar that I did up here. Let's just copy this piece of text down here, and I'm going to take this list read and make that tag. So I copied and pasted that, and then oops. Then I want to go back to the text and change this to list read. And then what I'll do is I'll copy this piece of text here, and see, I don't have enough room to put that on the right-hand side of the screen, so we'll do this. Go here, and then go to, let's see, that was the list right, and then let's go back to the text and change this to list right. All right, so now we need some messages in there. Now let's go here under the messages button here, and we can put in the different messages. Notice that these states here are listed, the value. The value is what actually drives this from that read search tag. So this is the value column that drives this, not the state column. You can change this. I don't recommend that, but you can. And so you have a message, the value, and then the text color and whether or not it's blinking. And notice that we can scroll this down and we have up to line 255, so 0 through 255 or 256 messages. I can put in my messages in here, let's say air, on, and then put in a text color. Maybe this is red. Whether or not it's blinking and whatnot. Or alternatively, what I've done is I've actually set these up in Excel, and I've previously went in and created some messages, but then I selected the lines, and then I right-clicked and hit copy, and then I pasted those into Excel. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy those back. So notice that automatic mode has a different color number here. This is actually, I believe this is, I don't remember what color I chose. So let's just copy that. Let's go back here to the messages, and I'm going to click on this single cell here and click paste, and that puts all of my messages in, my values, so on and so forth. And let's say that I wanted to change this to red, let's say. I could do that. That will change that line to red. But notice here, if I'm going to just copy this single line, go back to Excel and paste that, notice that that number is different. So this is a way that you can use that interface to get the different color numbers in from their red, green, blue components into a decimal notation. So that's a way to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and close Excel for now. Not save that, and so then I'm going to use these messages. Automatic mode will be in red, so that's line 0, 1, 2, and 3. And so now I should be able to change the read search tag, which will be this one. Notice that it is input enabled, and then drive the line that is highlighted here in this list. Well, for me, that's a little bit difficult to see. I'm not colorblind, but you have to realize that about 10% of men are colorblind, and like 0.1% of women are colorblind. So something to pay attention to. I think that black text on the blue background is a little bit hard for me to see. So I'm going to go ahead and change that highlight to yellow. Now I should be able to save this screen. Let's see, I forgot to, I'm going to stop this, download the new tags that I've created. Go ahead and run this. I will then off screen grab my remote connection here, go to my Objects to screen, and now you can see that my list read is line 0. I can drive that line here. Notice that moves down. Let's move all the way down to line 3, so that changes the automatic mode line. I can use my cursor keys here, or I can just directly select a line and notice the value. Even though it was a string type tag, is receiving that number. So if you're using that in an equation, note that it's at this point it's a string that receives the numerical value of the it's a string. It's not an actual number, so you might have to do some conversions on that. I believe, and it's been a while since I've tried this, so let me just double check this. If you are not using, if you don't have to use a string in there, I think you can actually change this to a numerical. So let's go ahead and exit this and see if that still works. what I'll do is I'll go back in and change my list right tag here under, let me get this out of the way here. Because these were created in order, this should be down at the bottom. My list right tag is a string. Let's change that to an integer, and then I can, I didn't make changes to the screen, so let's, because I made changes to the tag itself, let's go ahead and download that. And now that's an integer type tag and not a string type tag as the help said. I believe this will still work, so let's scroll back over here, go to the active objects 2. And now I have to scroll back here, and yeah, you can see that it does receive the numerical value. So it's not a string anymore. So even though the help says it has to be a string, it can be an integer as well. So that'll save you some having to convert that if you didn't know about that. So let's now take this to the next step, and let's go back into the object here and take a look at this. This object also has the ability to turn on and off these different scroll navigation. So this is scroll line by line and kind of page up, page down, all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. So we can turn on and off those individual things, start and end, and get rid of the scroll bars altogether and turn that into a little bit different looking message object. The list wrap is, let's go back and run this and show you what happens here. While list wrap is turned on, let me turn these all back on here and go back in here. If I'm in this object and I arrow up using my arrow keys and I'm at 0 and I hit arrow up again, it goes, it just keeps wrapping, and I can go down all the way back up to the top. If I turn off that list wrap and re-download this screen, now when I cursor down, cursor down, cursor down, it doesn't scroll, it doesn't wrap all the way back up to the top, and when I arrow up, it doesn't wrap down back down to the bottom. So that's what that list wrap is. Next thing that I wanted to cover here is the user enable and control enable. Let's go back to the slide presentation for a second, because I actually have a description. So you can see how I was driving this, and actually this should be a bi-directional arrow here, because when I clicked on the object, it wrote into the read search tag. So that should be a bi-directional arrow. But now I'm going to change those user enable and control enable tags. Now what that does is the read search tag is controlled by the control enable or disable, so it will block the use of that tag to drive the list box object. And alternatively, the user enable field will block whether or not a user can drive that. So let's go ahead and configure those. And let's go in here, and so instead of being a constant 1, which means they're enabled, let's put a tag in here. We'll call this user, and that doesn't exist, so I'm just going to make that a Boolean, because that's going to be either on and off. And then control, I will also make that a Boolean. And oh, you know what I forgot to mention earlier? It's probably a little late, but while I copied and pasted these messages in, and I didn't really give you a whole lot of chance to take a look at that, don't forget that at any time you can pause the video and go ahead and type those in. Then because fortunately I copied and pasted those from an Excel sheet, but at any time you can pause the video and then go ahead and type those in. So here I again have user and control. I made those Boolean, so now I need a way to toggle those. So let's go back and let's see, we know from the previous video how to make a push button, we know how to make a button. Let's make a push button here on the screen, and we'll put in the tag here for user, and we will make that, let's see, toggle or maintained. And then here we will have normally open, and then the configuration. While it's open, it will write a 0, and that will be disabled. And then here, while it's closed, it will be user enabled. Click on OK, and make this button a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to copy this over here, and then just change this from user to be control, And I probably should have double clicked on that and picked that from the list. And then here we'll have control. And then here, oops. All right, so now when let's see, I added a couple of tags. So let's make sure we save this screen. We'll stop the runtime because I created some tags. I'll download it. I'll get it running again, and then I'll pull that in from off screen here. Go to my active objects, and here, because these are disabled, I'm clicking. I can't choose that. So I want also I want to see if I can drive this. So here I'll type in a value of 2, and I hit enter, and it does not go to the list. So here if I turn on user, I can then choose from the list. You can see that that changes it, but I still can't drive this from here. So let's type in a 1, can't drive it, go to 3, enter, can't drive it. So now if I change this, now notice that it goes, it's enabled, and so now I can go to line 0, I'm sorry, line 1, line 0, and so now I can give control or take control away from the read search object tag or the user independent from each other. So that's a nice thing to be able to do from there. So you can determine who has control of that at any given time. You can change the fonts of this. You can change whether or not it requires an enter after selection to be able to confirm that, so to speak. So let's go ahead and give that a try. Save that. And now, let's see. When we run this, now when I choose one of these, I first have to enable this now. I've selected that line. I'm on line 3, but I have to hit enter before it actually takes that digit there. So that's the way that works. I'm going to turn that off for now. And another thing to note is that you can actually embed tags or logic in here. So for example, here in automatic mode, if I want to show status automatic, so let's change this message. So I'm going to change this instead of in automatic mode, I'm going to change this to automatic mode status. And then after that, then I'm going to put the tag called status, which I don't think I have in my system yet. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. And then what I'll do is I'll make a way to enter that status. I'll put this just above here. Oops, I copied all of those objects. So let's go ahead and undo that. I just want this one object. And then in here, I'll change this to status. And want to make sure that I have that as input enabled and change the text. Instead of list right, we'll make that status. And now when, let's see, I will save this. I will stop my project and download because I added that new tag. And then I'll run this. And I'll come in here and go to here. And then, of course, I didn't make this wide enough to show. So let's fix that. Let's take this off screen and widen this object out a little bit. So there's my status. And then what I'll do is I'll just save this and download. And now you can see my status. And currently my status is 0. Let's put in there status 456, and you can see that that comes right into that message in that line item of that list box. So that's all I wanted to show you there for the list box object. So let's go ahead and move on to the smart messages. So the smart messages, let's move this out of the way. And the smart messages, we're going to go ahead and I got some screen real estate down here at the bottom. Let's go ahead and put those at the bottom. The smart messages are comprised of 3 different types. There's the message display, which it shows, and we'll configure the messages here in a second. The multi-state indicator shows not only the message, but also has the ability to show an icon. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but just to make sure that I did, before I started the video, I actually copied that maintenance.bmp that I previously had in the web folder. I copied it into the root folder of my project, and I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to the message display. And the third one is very similar to the message indicator. It's the multi-state push button. It allows you to write and act as a push button at that particular spot on the screen. Oh, you know what I wanted to also do is, sorry, before I get back into that, I wanted to go back into the message object and show that the different types could be Boolean. If I go to Boolean now, I only have two choices for my message, either on or off. And if I go to least significant bit, what that gives me a choice of 32 bits. And if one of those bits is on in that integer, then whichever is the lowest number here, the lowest value, the lowest state shows. So if multiple bits are on, it shows the lowest value is kind of taken as the highest priority. So so that's the way that one works. So let me put this back to integer. All right, now go back to here. And let's talk about message display, and we'll put in a read search tag. And before we do that, let me go back to my smart message. Now, before we get into the messages, what we'll do is we'll talk a bit about these colors. So I wanted to show you that there's a rectangle. In this case, the rectangle background is this green. The rectangle foreground is the outline. The text foreground is the text color, and the text background is kind of a border around the piece of text. So that'll come into play when we set up those messages. So let's go back into our development environment. Here is a read search tag that points to the value, and I'll show you that here in a second. So here I'm going to call this message read. And that tag doesn't exist. I'm going to go ahead and make it an integer. And then what I'll do is I'll go into the messages. And very similar to the list box object, I can have those messages in here. And you can see that I can actually drive up to 499, which is 0 through 499 is 500 lines plus an error state, and the error shows up if you try to go to a line that doesn't exist, whether it be a negative number or one that's out of range. It will show the error state. Now, one of the things we can do here is we can put in error call maintenance. And so that will show if you've chosen an undefined line. And then here, maybe what I'll do is I will put in coolant on, hydraulic pump on, and let's see, spindle started, and status, automatic mode or status, machine started, let's say. Okay, so there's my different statuses, and maybe I put this in kind of a green color here. And so now notice that I have, let's see, lines 0 through 3 defined. And also, before I forget, you can also define these, and I can copy these and put those out to Excel if I wanted to. I'll go ahead and launch Excel here and paste those, and then that will get you all your color definitions and all your individual lines there, so you can then use Excel and some of the nice features of Excel's drag and auto increment to define those as well. So notice that here is the text foreground and background, whether or not you want it blinking, the rectangle foreground and background, and whether or not you want it blinking, and that is what I showed you here. So that's where each one of those comes from. So let's go ahead and drive that message read tag, and what I'll do is, because it's very similar to this list read, I'm just going to hold down my control key and drag this over here. Oops, jumped a little bit there. And put this right here. And now I want this to not tie to the list read, but to the message read. And make that input enabled. Okay. And so I think I have enough screen real estate. And again, you can make those different sizes and the different borders, excuse me, for the different colors and whatnot that you want. So let's go ahead and save this. And because I added a new tag, I'm going to go ahead and download this and run it. And it's coming up off screen here. Let's bring this into view. Scroll my scroll bar over and scroll my scroll bar down. So now here you can see as I change this, my different line items, and there's my different color. Hopefully you can see that in the video okay. So that's what drives those messages, and again that's contained in that. So now if I try to go to a value that doesn't exist, let's say 6, notice that it says error, call maintenance, or whatever the case may be. Call maintenance might not be appropriate for your application, but you can see how that message drives. And let's say that I was going to type in a negative number, but I didn't give myself enough spaces to do that. But so you can see how that line works there. So let's move this off the screen. Come back down here. So you can get different alignments, different fonts. Now, a choice that we have is, let me copy this object down here, is now instead of having the message read tag drive the value column here to show which message, what I can do is I can check this checkbox here that says check expression on each message line. Notice that this read tag goes gray, it grays out. Then on my messages, then I have an individual tag / expression, so I can put an individual tag in here to drive this. So I could put in here message. Let me just double click on this to make sure that I get this right. Message read equals 0. Message read equals 1. Now that would essentially do the same type of thing that it was doing before, and it's not any easier. But now what you can do is you can actually put in expressions in here. So let's say that machine is started, and when I get machine is started equals 3 and status equals 1. So that logic would drive that then. So I could put some, notice it says tag / expression, so I can actually put some actual expressions in here. Now, if multiple of them are true, it takes the lowest number state will actually drive that. So that's the way that that works. Okay, go ahead and click on this, and let's go back in here. All right, so one other thing that I wanted to show you, if we select this first message, if I go here under messages, you can not only define static, remember static data sources like we did in the combo box, you define the messages within the object. Alternatively, here you can define a text file and give it a source file, and then basically you're not limited to that 500 lines plus the error line. You're limited to however big the text file can be on the particular HMI that you're running on. So that's an alternative way to do that as well. Okay, so now we've done this with the message display, and I'm going to take this first one here and copy this over, because what I'm going to do is then make this into a multi-state indicator, which is basically the same thing, but I'm going to give myself a little bit more space here. And the only real difference here with the multi-state indicator is now in the messages field, in addition to the foreground and background of the rectangle, we now have the ability to have a graphic file and have a transparent color associated with that graphic file. So because I put that maintenance.bmp in my project root folder, I can just put in here maintenance.bmp. And now what that will do is that should show up on here when I download and run that. And I don't have that in my project root. Let's see, yes I do. Let's go ahead and save this and see if that takes hold down there. Let's see, it does not. So let's stop this, download, and run it again. And let's see, I thought it would show up right here. It doesn't. Let me go figure out why it doesn't, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Well, I figured out what I did. I accidentally put that on the error line. So if I drive this to an error, you'll see that bitmap comes in there, which it should. There's a little maintenance icon, a little screwdriver and the wrench, and I'll show you back here what I did. I actually put it, accidentally I put it on the error line, which is that top line, and what I meant to do is I meant to put it down here and not have it on the error line. So now let's go ahead and save that. And now when we show this, what you'll see is that the error line doesn't show that graphic, but line 0 does. So then you can position this and align this to have the different icons on there as well. So if I change that color, now let's take a look at the PowerPoint again real quick. So it's the color of this that I want to change, which is the rectangle background color. If I then come here and I change the rectangle background color for that one, so not the text, but not the rectangle foreground color, which is the outline around it, but the rectangle background color. Let's change this to maybe this kind of medium gray here. Now, when I run this, and oops, go here, you can see that shows through there. Let me get back out of this and go back into here, and now I want to change the transparent color. So that bitmap has a transparent, or has a white rectangle around that, and if I want to make that transparent, I can enable the transparency, select my color, which is that white, and now when I save this and go back into my runtime, you can see that most of the white, now my bitmap, and I did this on purpose, my bitmap is not perfectly white background, so I still have a few little remnants, and what I would want to do is go clean that up in a graphic editor. I wanted to show you that even though it's not perfect white, that most of it does disappear, but I also wanted to show you that if it's not exactly white, there's no tolerance there. It's just slightly off-white, and those little dots will still show up. So that's a way that you can get that to work. All right, so that was the message, smart message configured as a multi-state indicator. Now let's copy that over here so I can keep all those same messages. And now I will change this to a multi-state push button. Now we configure this as a multi-state push button. I get a write tag here, so we'll do MSG write, and that's a new tag. And so I'll just keep that as an integer. And now what I'll do is I'll copy this over here and put a text data link on this, and we'll tie this to the message write, and go back and change the label on here. So this will be, whoops, that still says list read, so MSG write. Let's go back and change this. Notice that I don't have to close my object properties. I can go back here and change this to, just make sure that, yep, that's in fact message read. And now this acts as a push button, and depending on the different lines that it's on, can act as a on down, on while, on up. And here's the different values that you get out of that and into that object, or into that tag, I should say. So now when I am, let's see, do I have everything that I need here to demonstrate this? I think I do. Because I added a tag, I'm going to save the screen, but then I'm also going to stop the project and then re-download it. And now I can go back. Let's go ahead and start it and go back to that. And active objects 2. So now you can see that I can drive this object. Let's say I want to drive this to line item 3. I can click on this and it will scroll through those. It will automatically increment me to the next one and give me that value into that tag as I click on it. So that's a way that you can. Sometimes I've seen people do kind of machine sequence startups where it won't let you go to the next one. Maybe if you're first you have to turn on coolant, then you have to turn on hydraulic, then you have to start the spindle before you do the next thing. So kind of a procedural startup is a way that that can be used. Let's see, and in addition to that, once now we have this as a multi-state push button, we can use keys to drive that, whether it be the letter A key or the letter B or function keys, and then modifiers, so I can do Control Shift Alt, or the left shift, the right control, so on and so forth. And let's see, I can hide the border on that. Let's see, I think that's all I wanted to show on the multi-state push button. So there's your different ways to use those different active objects. If you need more information, want to contact us about other things, here's some different online resources that we have. And we'd like to thank you for joining us today in this webinar, and have a great day.